Framing in the visual arts is the presentation of visual elements in an image to focus the viewer's attention upon the subject or other elements in the composition. In this painting by Albert Bierstadt, the frame created by the clouds draws the eye to the mountains in the distance, despite them otherwise being a faint background element. In Star Wars: The Force Awakens, we see a very clear example of framing when the protagonist Rey is introduced. Using wires, shafts and the hull of the wreckage in multiple shots, they create an almost literal frame around the character. This adds depth to the shot, but also creates a heavier emphasis on the at this point still unknown character, foreshadowing their importance in the upcoming story. Though in the techniques we just saw, the artist has full control over the viewpoint of the audience relative to the subject. In video games, the player usually moves around the environment freely, which leaves us with less control over the composition. To use this type of framing most effectively, we can utilize choke points and funnels to more or less fix the player's viewpoint relative to the subject. In BioShock Infinite, for example, the player's position is fixed when arriving in the airborne city of Columbia, and the window of the pod serves as a fixed frame in which important visual and narrative elements can be introduced to the player one by one. Where in sections of the game where the player can roam around relatively free, architecture is often used to funnel the player through specific entry points and functions as a framing device to emphasize landmarks, objectives, and other elements important to the narrative. Even though the whole subject of framing is about composition in a broader sense, I'd like to have a closer look at the specific usage of creating a tangible frame within the player's view to emphasize important elements in your scene. I'll reuse the scene I built for a previous video on this channel about landmarks. But instead of guiding the player to the landmark in the middle of town, we want to focus the player's attention on the boat in the harbour, as we might want an important story beat of our game to play out there. If our player were to approach from this side of the river, we could have the player emerge from an interior space, where we can use a literal door frame or window frame to highlight the boat in the docks in the player's vision. Or alternatively, we can use foliage and landscaping to funnel the player through a tight path and use a composition of trees and bushes to create a frame in which the boat is the main subject. This way we can make sure that the player sees the boat without taking player control away through the means of a cutscene, or by placing too many obvious markers on the screen which can interfere with player immersion and the feeling of discovery. I hope this composition technique comes in handy when laying out your levels. And if you'd like to see more level design content, I'd much appreciate if you'd like this video, leave a comment down below, and possibly subscribe to my YouTube channel. The YouTube algorithm is a tricky beast, and every interaction helps getting my videos seen by more people. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.